past year in the life of the POA has seen the union continue to grow in numbers and stature, helping to make real progress and achieve some tangible successes for the members along the way. Since the last national conference, the voice of the POA has been more effectively heard by the employers, politicians and the public alike than ever before.
Welcome to our delegates at conference. It's always great to see a variety of different people representing their branches from across the whole United Kingdom to talk to you about some of the progressive successes that we're doing. I could talk about wins, but the reality is what a win may mean to one person doesn't necessarily mean a win to other people.
Although last year saw the biggest pay rise in years, the most recent pay review body recommendations fell below inflation once again, which only showed how this remains the most eternal of all the POA's campaigning efforts on behalf of its members.
We've had the highest pay rise in over 30 years, which has helped with the cost of living crisis which we're still experiencing now. So we'll continue to give evidence to pay review body and hopefully they will continue to give us decent pay rises.
Some of the things we'll just find out from the pay review body's announcement. I think there's some frustrations with that. Some of the things that obviously we thought that we could be looked at didn't. But again, obviously it's what will happen now in the next 12 months to any of those recommendations that were put in and submissions were put in actually will get listened to and then actually come to fruition for our staff who work at the front line.
Much of the success achieved over the past 12 months can largely be attributed to internal changes that have helped streamline the union's campaigns and operations to make the progress that we have.
One noticeable thing that I think we have improved on in the last 12 months has been communication.
The digital side's come on massively. I think the pay website, the communication going out, the circulars, I think there's constant updates. I don't know whether we can get everyone to read them, is a different story, but there's more out there. And I think over the years, I think probably it's not been as frequent or accessible. Now it is. And I think that gives staff the ability to be more informed and make them go, actually, well, we know where we're going.
I think we've come on leaps and bounds with our communication strategies.
I work predominantly in website design, branding, but also social media. And I've been working with the POA for, it must be over 15 years now. And we started with a website that was really just a list of circulars and press releases back in the day. But in that time, the last 15 years, we've rebranded the union. We've launched 2 websites. We've launched social media channels. It's been a great journey. We laid the foundation with the work that we've done with the social media channels. And it's really been, I would say, in the last year since we've had input from Unity that we've really seen the numbers take off.
So we established Unity Consultant Scotland and we started working with trade unions who we had long had relationships with, the Bakers Union, ASLEF, Fire Brigades Union and others, CWU, doing campaigning work to get in amongst the political system and try and disrupt it a bit by getting their message across, whether that be through media, social media, through political interventions, lobbying MPs and MSPs and winning victories for different campaigns. It was very good to see that when we started there was a regular fortnightly communications meeting that the POA had been working with, and that brought together all the different people for the POA, but also the people the POA works with, like yourself, Greg, as a videographer, Simon, who makes the podcasts, Tom, who does the website and some of the social media posting, and others who contribute in different ways. And you know, that's a really good, essential meeting actually that brings everybody in. Everybody knows what they're doing, and we can discuss plans that are in the coming to fruition, but also what's in the pipeline going forward. That was quite a loose arrangement to begin with, but what we've done is tried to tighten that up a bit so we have a clear plan going forward for the campaigns that we want to run. So we set up what we call a grid, which is basically a timeline of different interventions that we want to make, different campaign themes that we want to run. Could be different events that are on, like the POA conference, or if the budget's coming up or whatever, where the POA wants to make, whether it be a media intervention or a political intervention around. So everybody's working to the same kind of plan. It has to be flexible because in the type of organisation we're working with, you have to be reactive at times to events that are going on, but also we want to be proactive and get our message across at different strategic times that we want to.
We've doubled our reach and engagement in the last year. We've seen increases in video views, in engagement from both followers and non-followers, and it's been dramatic. And I think it's been the consistency of output. It's not just been posting more, but it's been posting sort of more effectively and strategically. We've also sort of harnessed public attention when it comes to national news stories really successfully. So it's all been about doing things, I think, a little bit more based on a plan, getting attention from the public, but also more importantly the politicians, and we've started to see this pay dividends over the last year or so.
We've introduced podcasts, we've introduced videos.
I think the videos humanise the union. They get the message across in such an effective way in this day and age. Media that works really effectively in getting the plight of members in front of everybody. So I think that's been a huge aspect of how we've progressed, particularly over the last year or so.
We believe that our press releases have improved since we've involved Unity Consulting, and they give us some good advice about how to improve our reach and how we get all the people that we want to influence regarding our right to strike, our 68 is too late campaign and our pay campaign.
So we've been doing surveys to capture unions, the union members' thoughts and feelings. We've been sending emails to politicians. We've been obviously harnessing the social media to great effect, and we're seeing that through the reactions, the reposts, some of these long-standing campaigns. We've been fighting these battles for years, but I think we're starting to make headway, and I'm hopeful that with continued sort of relentless activity, we can get even more wins for the union.
The success that we have in communicating better, anything that gets our story out there of how difficult the job is and the success that we have doing the job, that has to be put out to the world to see.
It's in the media more, isn't it now? So we're hoping that obviously the wider public are noticing now. We're behind a big wall, aren't we? And we are forgotten about a lot of the time. We're not like the police where we're in the public eye a lot. We're what happens, only sort of we know what happens behind those walls. So it is good now that it's getting a raise nationally in the media, and people are starting to realise what a tough job it is to be a prison officer.
We're constantly looking for opportunities to promote POA campaigns, and one thing that is to the union's great advantage is that they have people who are very willing to engage with the media, people who are very good at speaking to the media. So Mark and Steve and Mick in particular are the most regular people who front up some of the media interventions. They're always willing to, be interviewed by TV or radio or online, good at getting across the POA's message in a very calm and rational way. And, that's for us who are helping out in the media side, then that's, that is absolutely gold for us. And they're very effective at getting across that message. And, journalists like that, and we certainly like that. And I hope that members are noticing it, because they've certainly been prolific in their media interventions over the last year or so that we've been working with them.
I know my family members often say to me they've seen the POA on the news again, and that wasn't the case a few years ago, so it is a good thing. It's a good positive for everyone.
With the POA, there's a lot more podcasts, a lot more television interviews, a lot more internet stuff going out where members can read it, and we are more visible, and that helps a hell of a lot.
The more we can sort of pull prison officers out from behind the wall of the prison and expose what actually goes on in the life of a prison officer to the public, then the more it will benefit the campaigns that we run.
Unity have been instrumental for us up in Scotland, because they've put a professionalism to our reports, you know, and it gives it just another level of, you know, detail. We've extended our thanks to them, but I extend it to them again. You know, they've been really good for us up in Scotland.
No, which is a good thing. It used to be an email or a pamphlet getting posted out, and as I say, internet's helped a lot, and the media coverage goes a long way.
Harnessing those news stories to great effect, I think, has been a strong component in how we've seen things improve over the last year, both from the stats that I see, but also from the wins such as the rollout of body armour and Parva, etc. And we just want to continue that to make things obviously safer for members, but also some of the key campaigns, the long-standing campaigns, we want to get wins on those as well.
It's been very much about increasing the visibility of prison officers and the challenges that they face, the overcrowding, the violence that exists in prisons, violence on prisoners, but also on staff, the dangerous conditions that they're facing, the buildings and the maintenance, the 6 days too late campaign, all of those issues and more. It was our job, and it's the job of the communications team overall, to increase that visibility and to ensure that this fundamental public service that society depends upon is at the forefront of the minds of the public, and importantly also politicians and policymakers.
I think it's really important that the whole union sort of pulls together on these parliamentary campaigns. So the comm strategy is backing up the parliamentary strategy, backing up the campaign strategy, political strategy. I mean, it's all part of the same movement, really. And a lot of that work happens here in Parliament. A lot of it happens outside among the membership, in the communities, and the more joined up the whole system is, the better. And I think we have really seen that this year, because we've been pushing for debates in Parliament. The debates have happened. We've pushed the briefings out. The MPs have made fantastic points in the debate, really put the government under pressure. And then we've had that, I always say, you can have the greatest debate in the world here, but if no one hears it or sees it or watches it, then, does it really matter? What we really want is people to know about it right now. And it's great seeing the comms team really amplifying what's happening here in Parliament. So we'll have a debate here, we'll get clips of it, quotes of it out there on social media. We'll get the video of the debates, so members can and others, anyone who's interested in fixing the prisons crisis, can see that we have got really strong allies in Parliament who will stand up against their own party leaderships if they need to, just standing up for what's right.
This joined up, more strategic approach to communications and social media platforms in particular has elevated the union's reach and further increased its influence in the corridors of power from Holyrood to Westminster, as well as keeping its members up to date with these efforts being made on their behalf and the cross-party support that they have in their live campaigns.
I've been involved with the POAs since, nearly 30 years, I think now. Certainly when the 1997 legislation was passed, and we tried to challenge that. We've had some successes amongst many failures, but they've been hard hit by the law. But as Steve was saying on the platform just now, some of the cases are quite interesting where the judge found against the POA because it had no option under the law. But quite clearly the judge was very sympathetic with the situation that the POA was in. But
One thing of particular interest is that within the last 2 months, the European Committee on Social Rights, which is the supervisory body of experts under the European Social Charter of 1961, which is part of the Council of Europe, have just reviewed UK compliance with the obligations that it's undertaken under the European Social Charter, one of which is Article 6, subparagraph 4, which protects the right to strike. And they have held that the ban on prison officers in England and Wales taking strike action is in breach of the European Social Charter. So that is a very significant finding indeed. And if the government are genuine in wanting to uphold the rule of law, then they should find ways to reverse the ban on POA right to strike. It's the most significant development for years, possibly decades. I know they've got a case going to the European Court of Human Rights. I'm not involved in that, but that may prove successful. Certainly the decision of the European Social Rights Committee will be influential in the European Court of Human Rights. So there is room for optimism.
We could be in a position where you would have an absurd position where a Labour government would be potentially going to court to defend anti-trade union legislation introduced by the Tories almost 25 years ago. That would be a huge embarrassment for any Labour government, and I think there's the opportunity for the government to sit down properly and negotiate the return of the right to strike with the POA before it gets to the court case.
Our members who work in the prison service do have the right to strike. Prison officers in Scotland also have the right to strike, but PCS fully supports the POA in their demand for the right to strike to be restored to prison officers in England and in Wales. Steve Gillen is currently the president of the TUC, as well as being General Secretary of the POA, so see him in that capacity as well. And clearly we have quite a few issues that link our two unions. So one of those being around trying to ensure that the government enforces every aspect of the Employment Rights Bill. So I'm here today. I know Steve Gillen will be speaking here this afternoon all about where the bill falls short and what more the unions can do to put pressure on the government to make further improvements.
We find ourselves under a permanent injunction and being done for contempt of court as well, where we were fined £210,000 for allegedly taking unlawful industrial action nationally in 2017.
Obviously one of the big campaigns of the POA is around the right to strike, and we fully support them in that, and clearly that's an issue that we believe could be very easily resolved with the Labour government, and we need to keep the pressure on to ensure that that basic right is afforded to them in the same way as it is to other trade unions.
On the right to strike, it's great to see that's getting a proper airing. That's on the agenda now. I mean, partly it was the Employment Rights Bill. We had a lot of amendments down to that. John McDonnell in the Commons and Tony Woodley and John Hendy in the Lords, really making a strong case as to why the government have got to get into line with its international obligations, because it's absolutely outrageous to ban prison officers from striking and then use that ban to essentially exploit them into accepting worse pay terms and conditions. I mean, if prison officers had the right to strike, then they could have stood up to the raising of the pension age. I mean, all sorts of attacks on pay terms and conditions could have been, tackled in a different way.
We're very proud to be involved with the campaign for trade union freedom and the Institute of Employment Rights for. I'm here with the Institute of Employment and Campaign for Trade Union Freedom. We've been affiliated to these two brilliant pieces of resource that challenge the right to strike and different things for the trade union movement as a whole. But they've been very decent to the POA, and it's been worth every single penny that we've put in because of the education that we get from it through the likes of Keith Ewing and John Hendy. And I would actually urge every branch in the country to affiliate to the campaign for trade union freedom, it only costs about £35 a year. And the amount of literature that you will get from it will educate local committees and the membership, and hopefully you'll be able to turn up at different campaigns that I have today speaking on your behalf with regards to our right to strike.
Restoration of prison officers' ability to take industrial action lawfully is a real omission from the Employment Rights Act as was passed, but that struggle again isn't over, and I know Steve and the POA will continue to press their case. It's only fair that every worker has a right to withdraw their labour. We've seen the difficulties and the legal challenges that the POA have had in the absence of that right, and we at Thompson's will stand shoulder to shoulder with the POA, and let's hope that they do get that right back.
When the bill was debated and the amendments were debated, hearing the spokespeople from the Tories and even the Lib Dems, hearing what they said in the committee was really quite embarrassing. The lack of understanding about, I mean, there was one MP who was saying, oh, but if we gave them the right to strike, then, you'd have convicts running through the countryside, terrorising my constituents. It's like ridiculous. The POA would never put people's safety at risk in an industrial dispute. Always there would be measures in place.
In Scotland, where the right to strike is preserved for prison officers, no major issues have occurred. Industrial action has never needed to be taken.
We don't want people to lose wages. You know, we're professional people, so we don't want prisoners to be, left in, with nobody there. We are professional people. Nobody wants to use it. We will if we ever had to, but it's certainly not something that we would want to use willy-nilly. And I think the fact that we've never used it shows that just because you have it, you don't use it.
So I hope that over the last year there's been more understanding about what we're really campaigning for, and some of the fear-mongering has been put to bed.
I think the POA continues to be a union that punches above its weight, most notably with Steve Gillen becoming president of the CEC this year, which I think is the first time a POA leader has had that honour.
I'm really, really proud that he's been able to take on that role, as well as being General Secretary and Finance Officer to the POA. So, yeah, hats off to him. He's doing really, really well. He's been selected to give a lecture at Oxford University, which is unheard of within the trade union movement. He's very understated, but he does get heard, and people do take notice of him whenever he's speaking. And obviously, with conference looming, people actually hear what he has to say, because he does talk a lot of sense most of the time.
It's always punched above its weight, but I think it's been doing that even more so recently. I mean, partially perhaps through the work that we're doing, but I think also the leadership in terms of their activity. I think it just helps the union become a stronger union, have a stronger voice generally.
I want to send my greetings to the POA conference and all POA members and delegates to conference, and particularly to my good friend and comrade Steve Gillen, who succeeded me as president of the TUC and is doing a fantastic job in that role, representing POA members but also representing the wider trade union movement at a particularly challenging time.
People need to know the POA has a strong voice. Has a strong voice because its members work hard, but also its General Secretary and the whole executive work hard. They're not in any way afraid of making the views known of our members in meetings after minister. What they've got under this government now is an open door policy. So what you're seeing is the General Secretary and our exec members meeting ministers and explain to them the reality of what's happening within our prisons itself. That means, trying to get more investment in, but recognising we need basic trade union rights. Again, my view is I think we've been very successful in highlighting the need for reform. We've backed the Employment Rights Bill that's gone through, is now an act. We're calling for more. And of course, we're still campaigning for the right to strike. And we're not going to give that one up. But don't underestimate how effective this union has been.
I mean, the support of MPs like John McDonnell, like Brian Leishman, Kim Johnson and others has been invaluable in raising the profile of the campaigns that the POA is running, particularly around things like the retirement age. Can we imagine some of those members of Parliament sitting on the green benches who are in their mid and late 60s attempting to tackle some of the people that prison officers are expected to tackle. I think, I think they would find it incredible if they were asked to do that. Well, why do they ask prison officers to do it who are the same age as them?
What's happened is the union itself has displayed exactly what the situation our members are facing. And our members have been to Parliament, they've sat down with individual constituency MPs and they've said, you need to know the reality of what's happening here. And yeah, we've got a couple of people there who've really experienced. Sally Jameson, for example, ex-POA member, well, I'm sure she's still POA member, ex-prison officer, really getting across to other members of Parliament on a cross-party basis. We're talking to everybody about what the reality is, the dangers our members are facing and the protections that they need. There's nothing better to have someone there who's representing our union who's had hands-on experience, and that's proven to be incredibly effective.
Yeah, well, it's a real privilege to get to speak up for prison officers in Parliament, especially because my first year after I got elected, I was a parliamentary private secretary to the MOJ, so I couldn't actually speak in the chamber, but now that I can, I'm determined to carry on helping the efforts of the POA. We've already had some big wins, whether that's getting PAVA in the youth estate or the beginning of rolling out of body armour and tasers, but there's more to do, and I think the POA is having a real impact in Parliament but also in government, and continuing that work is really important. I think the POA campaigns have been really effective in making sure that the voice of prison officers and prison staff more widely is being heard in the corridors of power. So it's definitely, we need to keep that up, keep fighting for the things that matter to members most, and I'm sure we've got more wins ahead.
I think we've had quite a few successes over the last year, and also obviously the campaign for 68 Too Late is current and still going. Obviously we've seen it in Parliament, and we've seen quite a lot of our MPs and supporters supporting us through that.
There was lots of expectations when the Labour were coming in, but obviously we're still working through that. I think we thought we would get movement a bit quicker. Obviously now the NEC are kind of really pushing the right to strike, and the ability to kind of get our retirement age down. We do see that sooner rather than later, especially when some staff are into their early 60s now, and they're having to work to 68, which is just a little bit, I think, unnecessary when with the challenging environment we work in. I think 60 would be a perfect age for staff to have done their time serving the public services and then to take retirement.
The thing is that the MPs are always really keen to speak to members and to explain why they're doing what they're doing, why it's important to them that the POA's campaigns get progressed here in Parliament. And so it was really pushing an open door. All I had to do was ask, a handful of MPs. We've got the POA coming in today to do a bit of filming. Would you mind saying a few words, being interviewed? And everyone I asked said, absolutely, let's do it.
So it brought to my attention fairly early on about the 68 is Too Late campaign. I've asked a number of questions in the chamber, had a number of meetings with parliamentary colleagues, with ministers to press the case. And as yet, we have not made the kind of progress that we would have liked, but we really need to address this 68 is too late issue, because of course prison officers are still being required to face very dangerous situations, sometimes going into cells where prisoners may carry out assaults against them. And with all due respect to older people, I'm a 68-year-old myself. We're just not as fit as we used to be, and it's not fair to expect that prison officers should have those kinds of terms and conditions when the police, the fire service and other workers enjoy much better terms and conditions in terms of their retirement. So I will continue to press this case as long as I'm a member of Parliament. I've joined with other MPs, Andy Slaughter, Brian Leishman, Graham Morris and others to press this case. So there really is no reason why the government should continue to delay this. It's an important matter. We saw the assaults in HMP Franklin earlier, was it last year? And that's just a good example of the kinds of risks that the people are facing. Now, what the government have said is that they're looking at all sorts of terms and conditions. In fact, could they maybe change the duties of officers as their age increases. But that's okay. What we really need is the option to be able to retire at the age of 60.
POA do a great job and you have my absolute full support. What we must do, and we're going to do, is ensure that your terms and conditions and your pension ages and all these issues are dealt with. Your voice is heard here in Westminster and will continue to be.
So it's good to see, some proper debates happening here, and also some wins, some real steps forward on body armour, on the exemptions to the skilled worker visa. Even on things like promising that with this expanded use of tagging, it will never be the responsibility of prison officers to fix Serco's tags. So even from some small wins to big wins, it's been a really positive year. I do hope that members will have a read of the parliamentary report this year that I pulled together, because there's a lot of stuff in there that is really encouraging and gives us a fantastic base to start from for the next stage, because we've got the new parliamentary session starting in May, and we're really going to be putting the POA's campaigns front and centre, and we're going to get a lot more action, I hope. Every year, one of the MPs who's a fantastic champion for POA, Graham Morris, he puts in a question every year, written question, to say how much prison officer experience there is, what's the total amount, cumulative prison officer experience. He puts it in every year, and the numbers come back worse. Every year it gets worse. And the latest numbers show that since 2010 we have lost over 116,000 years of prison officer experience, just gone from the service. 116,000 years of jailcraft. And Graham mentioned this in a debate just a few weeks ago. Another MP, Brian Leishman, mentioned that the same figure as well.
The association has highlighted many times, and I've tried to do that in Parliament, the fact that we're facing a retention and a recruitment crisis. And what we have seen over the last decade and more is that we've seen that exodus of skills, that talent, that expertise that is so vital for the rehabilitation process. I think we're talking well over 100,000 years of experience has left the service. And once that talent and that expertise is gone, it's gone, and it leaves a real kind of vacuum for the new recruits that are just trying to make their way into the industry.
On the right, we had the Telegraph picking up the story. On the left, we had Morning Star. We had the Express and the Mirror as well, and some locals. So it's really, what it shows is that there's real interest out there. Something about now, people realise that this is kind of at the heart of the problem, this collapsing levels of experience, and a real recognition that the government's got to do everything possible to keep prison officers in service. Not just about recruit, and the problems with that. It's about keeping the prison officers we've already got, and that means paying them properly, treating them well, letting their voice be heard, giving them back their industrial muscle, if only for morale's sake, giving them back the ability to say, in an extreme situation, no, we're going to withdraw our labour until this is fixed.
I'm delighted to be a member of the Justice Union's parliamentary group there, and we have cross-party consensus, cross-party support. Some things are far bigger than party politics and the tribalism that inevitably generates. We're talking about trying to rehabilitate people, get people back into society, and actually just try and improve the society. Now, that is cross-border, as I say, from every part of these islands. That's essential. And it's an honour to try and represent the POA and other unions on that Justice Union parliamentary group.
It's not a left or right issue, the state of our jails. I work with all sorts of MPs, and on these issues, it doesn't matter whether on the left, on the right, in the middle, everybody knows that this is wrong.
Credit to everyone involved as well with Solidarity Consulting as well, as they give us fantastic briefings, and they really do get the POA stance across to us to then question injustice questions, but also in other things as well, whether that be Westminster Hall debates, general debates, or writing questions to government ministers, just trying to see what the government's thinking is and what the direction of travel for our justice system is going to be.
Whenever they come here, give evidence, they get treated properly, properly with respect. The MPs really want to listen carefully to what they're saying. We've had some excellent evidence sessions recently in different committees, and you know, the MPs know that, especially with prison, you could say this about a lot of jobs, but especially with prisons, what they get told from the government, or you know, even and through the media as well, unfortunately, a lot of the time, you know, that's, I won't even say half the story. Often it's completely the upside down story. So when they get the opportunity to hear directly from the union, from the representatives, from the front line, from the officers, from all, you know, from the front line, then they really listen.
The rise of drugs and organised crime in prisons has transformed behaviour. With extreme, unpredictable violence, prisoners experiencing psychosis because of the drugs they're using, and organised crime groups using drones and intimidation to control supply. We see rising levels of PTSD and trauma amongst staff, increased sickness levels, experienced staff leaving the service, and recruitment unable to keep up the pace with the resignations.
I think Mick Pimlett and the rest of the team at the Prison Officers Association do a fantastic job under the most grim of circumstances. I mean, we discussed the drugs in the prisons, the undermanning in the prisons. It's a massive issue, and Mick was able to explain the situation to the members here. Again, very invaluable, a great source of information about how ordinary people trying to make a crust suffer in everyday terms as part of their employment. It's important to get people from the different parties who can come together, who've got a common understanding of what's happening in the workplace. So we get together and we've got a common objective, and that's to highlight these issues and hopefully change people's views on it and get better legislation, for example, with regards to protection of people in employment.
You know, it comes to things like the preparation of questions, briefings for ministers. I get regular communications from Charlie in terms of the POA positions and briefing papers. So it's really important that we keep up that kind of cross-party work, and I'm very grateful to Charlie for doing that.
We're identifying the campaigns, we're using media and social media to assist in promoting those campaigns, but obviously politics and trying to influence politicians and governments, whether that's at Westminster or Holyrood, is really, really important. Charlie does a great job in doing that.
The POA is incredibly well respected in trade union circles, but also in Parliament. As I say, this is something that goes beyond party politics, and credit to Steve and everyone involved with the association for championing the needs and the desires of their members.
Alongside the ongoing long-term campaigns for the right to strike, better pay and a fairer pension age, much of the campaigning this year has again been about health and safety and violence at work for members.
There's been a lot of coverage around safety and violence and protection of people, and clearly they're a union where that issue will be at the forefront of their campaigning activity. So we stand in complete solidarity with them, and obviously when you hear people from Reform talking about watering down health and safety and doing away with basic health and safety rights, that's really a green light for shoddy companies and employers to really let workers down. So we're very keen that the health and safety regulations that protect so many workers stay in place, and we will work with the POA and so many others to make that happen.
We are constantly contacting the employer through our weekly council meetings to improve the health and safety of our members. One particular recent success that we've had after many years of campaigning with the employer is regarding spitting incident bags. And basically what the spitting incident bag is basically it allows our members to have some dignity once they've been spat at by prisoners or detainees. And the spitting bag just contains soap, deodorant, so staff can clean themselves up, for instance. I find it hard to believe that HMPPS have been reluctant to provide this for the last couple of years, but it has been a success after we pushed, and HMPPS have now agreed to roll it out throughout all prisons in England and Wales.
It's the high numbers of staff assaults which has brought into the media. We had the thing of Franklin, which was high profile, and that is getting out there, and I think public opinion now supports the prison service with our plight and how dangerous the job is and how underpaid we are.
Victories and things like the body armour and PAVA and the tasers and the like are these are victories that will make a difference to prison officers on the front line, and it's the kind of campaigning that goes on all year round, and ultimately you want to see providing advancement for the health and safety and well-being of prison officers, and in these issues, the POA has been very effective, and we continue to campaign on a whole range of other issues.
The union made some significant gains in regard to PPE this year as a direct result of our increased effectiveness in gaining support at all levels.
We've had the rollout of body armour in the high security estate. We want more than that. We want body armour throughout the entire prison estate, certainly in the closed adult male estate and segregation units. We want PAVA in the open estate and female estate. That's our next big cause that we're working on. So we've already got PAVA in the YCS estate, despite a legal challenge from those who will never walk in our shoes. We fought that off and we were successful, and it's now in the YCS estate and it's classed as a legal requirement, which it is. So we've done well there.
Everyone's been issued with the PAVA, which people are getting the confidence to use it more now as well, which is a good thing.
Every member of staff operationally do use PAVA, have the access to PAVA. It's a spontaneous response to an incident. PAVA, you need staff on the ground. You don't want to have to wait for PAVA to arrive from a CM or a use of force instructor who may be working elsewhere in the prison. It's massive. It's for our safety.
Obviously at first it was an unknown quantity, no one knew what to do with it. There's more confidence now that they are and they're willing to use it now when required, which is a good thing. I think the body armour thing's more in the high security estate, which is coming in, but that's a big win for the National Union.
I've come from Frankland. Awful incident in April, which happened to three of my colleagues, friends. I was on duty that day. I saw the effects of it. Wholeheartedly believe tasers would have helped that situation. It took immense levels of bravery for that to become concluded. I think a taser would have been absolutely ideal in that situation.
That's currently getting trialled by the national teams, but it is going to get rolled out in the high security estate. We will have local response teams on standby permanently when they're trained and armed with tasers. So that's another massive success, as is the reintroduction of those local response teams. We've been asking for years for that to be reintroduced, and it's finally happened.
Any measures that will protect our members, our prison officers, it's wholly welcomed. Anything that protects the lives of our members here.
The union had major input into the Rademacher report into bullying, was a vocal presence on the Violence at Work parliamentary group, and gained a seat on the NHS Council.
The Rademacher report that came in this year has been a massive help to us. We've had a number of instances where things have been getting investigated, and rather than being done locally, they've been sent out more to another prison, another governor to do for another jail. So it's transparent more for the members, which I think is a big win as well. It gives the staff confidence to challenge things if they are under investigation. It is becoming a thing now where they challenge and say we don't feel comfortable with our management doing the investigation, and it's been handed out on a number of occasions now this year.
If a manager has to bully to get results, they're not a manager. That's why we have the POA, that we are there to protect staff and to eliminate bullying at no matter what level it's there.
Bullying and intimidation is a big thing in the prison service. A lot of staff do feel under pressure. So the unions had a big hand in this, and obviously at the last conference Ms Rademacher was in explaining what she's brought in and the influence it'll have on you on the prison service as a whole. So that's a big win for us nationally as well.
The POA have been seeking a permanent seat on the NHS Staff Council for many years. There has been a marked reluctance by our sister unions to embrace us. However, 18 months ago, we finally achieved that permanent place. This is a game changer for the POA. in being able to influence negotiations on pay terms and conditions. And thanks to all of the branches who have supported us throughout the many years in helping us achieve that. Our membership is largely drawn from special hospitals and secure psychiatric facilities. However, we also have members in offender health who work in prisons in very challenging conditions. And for them, it makes them part of the NHS family, which I think is really important.
I think obviously you can see that the fact is I think people realise that the good work we're doing and especially our branch officials as well, they're getting that voice across. Membership has gone up, people want to be part of the union. It's also making people aware of what the union is really about.
Late last year was the work about where we're going to lose the foreign nationals and that, what the impact that would have on the establishment, losing up to nearly 50 members of staff by this June. Obviously the government's agreement to extend that and allow that to work through is gave us a little bit of a reprieve and helped some of our foreign national staff that are have been kind of frustrated with developments and kind of concerned what may come in the next 12 to 18 months.
One of the big ones for me is the immigration visas. Started getting lots of emails from members in several prisons around the northwest. There's a lot of people working in the prison service on these visas, and then, you know, at a stroke of a pen, it was sort of their right to work here was took away. So there's a lot of pressure put on from Mark, Steve, and whoever else from the NEC was involved, and they've been granted a temporary extension to the end of this year, which is good for them personally, and for the service and the union. We can't afford to lose over 2,000 members. It was a great result. We've got to build on it and make sure that the temporary exemptions are made permanent.
As a branch, we've grown considerably. We've had a lot of new staff, and we're busier than ever. We've got a new influx of foreign national staff, so we've got a good membership coming from the newer staff.
So that's something else we need to work on as well, to make sure that we keep those recruits who are essential to the running of the service.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive worry for a lot of the staff, and we gave them a lot of support with it. And the day they found out they were getting an extension for 3 years, it was like they were absolutely made up. And obviously we're going to reap the benefits now of not losing all them staff that we've trained up. So that's been a big win for the union locally and nationally.
I think the front PPE is one element. I think staffing is another element, and stuff is obviously consistency, getting the staff. Obviously, always constantly running short. So when you've got staff, you're able to do very productive kind of regimes and run certain things. So obviously, staffing seems to be moving very slowly, but especially for Berwyn, in the right direction from a local point of view, but nationally obviously it's not the same picture. We've got quite good kind of communication kind of with SMTs when we can raise concerns, and obviously from a local level, a local branch, we try to support our staff on the ground at HME Berwyn. Obviously what goes on nationally, we can kind of voice our concerns, but obviously that's for our NEC to kind of fight nationally for.
Personally, at the moment, we're struggling with our red hours, which is our unsociable hours. We've got a dispute in the minute. Ours are too high percentage-wise amongst all grades, I think. So I know the OSG's Band 2s I think they've had a pay rise in the last review. Their red hours are too high. They're getting paid more. So now we brought it up locally that our percentage is too high. So that's ongoing, but we're hoping we're going to get a win out of that, which that'll be good for everyone in our local branch. I think it needs to happen, because when they do their shift patterns, when they should not be above the percentage anyway. We have an agreed percentage, and it's affecting our members' family life. They're working far too many hours in like red hours over weekends, bank holidays, late at night, nights. So it's something that needs to be addressed, and hopefully it'll come nationally now, where it'll be addressed nationally. That's what the union's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? We're all here to stick together, and I think with our current restraints, with the lack of a right to strike, I think we're doing a good job as well. We feel a bit powerless at times, but we're going the right way about getting things changed. There's obviously more ways to go about things, but it's good that we're still gaining. We still need our pension age reduced. That's what we're looking at the minute, but that's an ongoing fight, and hopefully we'll win that soon as well, and get our right to strike back.
Yeah, we've seen a progress in protective equipment, the PPE. We've got more stab vests doing. More units have got the tasers and stuff. It does work. It's a long fight, and it'll be a continuous fight. But unless we keep up the pressure, we're not going to give in. We'll keep fighting for what we deserve. POA is the first port of call for our members. They're always welcome to drop in the office, give us a call or an email with whatever situation they've got going on, and we'll assist them wherever we can with whatever issue they've got going. At Risley, the POA have got full-time facility time. It's beneficial to our members, also beneficial to the governors. They prefer us on full-time facility because we're there to assist in any matter that arises. 12 months ago, HMP Risley, we re-rolled from main CATCs to Picoso VPs. It was challenging and with logistics and stuff, but within that it brings up new challenges.
The union's legal representatives, Thompson Solicitors, were again sadly able to report record levels of compensation won on behalf of members over the past 12 months.
We've had some real successes this year. In total, we recovered some £2 million in compensation for POA members across a variety of personal injury and employment rights cases. In addition, we've continued the work on the McLeod pensions litigation, in relation to which we've recovered £6 million in compensation for POA members who have suffered injury to feelings, and that work is ongoing. We hope to continue to conclude cases in that regard. Sadly, the epidemic of workplace violence, which is endemic in several industry sectors in the country, but as we know is particularly acute in prisons and secure psychiatric settings, continues. In relation to that, we've had some really significant successes. Several of our cases unfortunately were fought all the way to trial, but we've had real successes and recovered some significant amounts of compensation for workers, POA members, and a variety of other types of work, from road traffic collisions to straightforward or more complex accidents at work, and a range of employment law cases, including a really excellent victory for workers at the Gatwick Immigration Detention Centre who were offered unlawful inducements by their employer Serco. Compensation again has been recovered for those members. Unfortunately, the employer has chosen to appeal that, but we'll continue to fight that, and hopefully that'll be another success to report in the months to come.
Significant progress has also been made for both the POA in Northern Ireland and the SPOA in Scotland over the past 12 months, with successes to report in both areas.
Up in Scotland, we've been extremely busy. Because we undertook a massive piece of work with our partners, Unity Consultancy Scotland, or Unity Consultants Scotland, about crisis point reached within the Scottish Prison Service. It was a member-led survey, so it's the members' voice about the challenges and the difficulties that they're facing in the workplace within the Scottish Prison Service. Biggest issues were the serious organised crime groups. The numbers are through the roof, so that makes people's daily work very challenging, or more challenging than it should be, to the high prisoner numbers. As a matter of fact, yesterday we unlocked at the highest ever rate in Scottish history, just over 8,500. So it's concerning because nothing's coming down. Everything keeps going up, even though we have the new scheme about cutting people's sentences, prisoner sentences going out. Our numbers just keep rocketing and rocketing, so it's not a good place, if I'm being honest with you. And I think the report, the crisis point reached, really hits it and lets people know under no uncertain terms how difficult it is for our membership working within the Scottish Prison Service. The Scottish Prison Service management have actually accepted the report and are going to deal with the report along with their own culture report. So they're going to run both of them together, which is really good. It's a good endorsement, and we're hoping to get as many of the recommendations that we put to the prison service recorded and try and make it a better place for people to work.
Throughout the Troubles here, we lost quite a few prison officers to terrorist threats, and the recognition was not being given to prison officers. So Antrim and Newton Abbey Borough Council have put up a memorial stone for remembrance of the staff, and they've also given us the freedom of the borough, which we had a civic reception in which there was a parade through the local town, which was Ballyclare, with the prison service pipe band and with 30 officers parading through the streets with 2 dogs, representing the dog section. We have moved on from that we have now gained the freedom of the borough from Causeway Coast and Glens, which houses McGilligan Prison. And it all fell into sync because McGilligan Prison got 4/4s in the Justice Inspectorate. And it's a great lift for our members up there. They have worked extremely hard to get those results. So the recognition that prison officers are being given over this last year, I'm extremely pleased for them. The professionalism of the staff that are here, they're absolutely superb. We have set up a new recruitment scenarios in Northern Ireland for bringing people in, which has been very successful. And once again, I can't sing the praises of the area committee enough, that the branch secretary in the college that is actively recruiting for the POA, and the word is getting out there that what you see is what you get, and we do what it says in the tin.
This past year has also seen some internal restructuring of the support staff of the POA in order to streamline and safeguard the workflow at Cronin House and in the other POA offices around the UK.
Last 12 months has been very, very busy. Lots of changes within government, lots of changes with how we're doing our campaign as well.
Nothing ever stands still in life. So, for example, we've had a restructure internally with our support staff, and they've embraced it. And I've got to say, I think our staff at Cronin House, Linden House, and in Scotland, they're fabulous people. They're the cogs in that engine that keep it going. I couldn't do my job without them, and I don't think the executive could either, or the full-time officers. So they're a real credit to this trade union, and some of them have been there for many, many years. And it's, you know, they should get that credibility and recognition.
Yes, we have done a restructure with staff. We've had to do that to make sure the work is fit for purpose. Yes, and the staff have embraced that really, really well. And yeah, at the end of the day, we're doing more work. Obviously, we're looking for the future, so the work that we're doing and the structures that have got to fit for purpose.
So we've had the restructure. We'll continue to give ongoing training to them so that they're upskilled, so that we progress together as a trade union.
The roles are really intertwined now, so everybody needs to know a little bit of everything. So I think that's good for the association, and it's good for when people leave, that things are not just left and there's not holes in the structure and the way that we do work. So yeah, it's just about getting everybody involved in all aspects of the work for the POA.
So recently we improved our information technology, which included our membership database, the way that we use our website and so on. So alongside the improvements within our information technology, we've realised that there's a more efficient way to work within our administrative support staff. We've restructured the staff within that organisation, and we've now found that there's more flexibility. So we feel that the improved structures within our organisation and our administrative staff can only be a good thing for our members and for our branch officials.
Another great success to report this year is the financial standing of the union, where the finance officer can report that things are healthier than ever.
We're in now a better financial position than we have in the past, but we won't take our foot off the pedal, and we'll continue with good governance on our finances. Our welfare fund, that's one of the jewels in the crown, actually, for members who put £1 a month in. It's their fund. It's funded by the members for the members. And let me tell you, at this minute in time, we've got over 1.6 million in that fund. And we make good use of that in some very, very heartbreaking cases up and down the country, across our membership. I won't go into details because simply it's between us and the actual member who's making the application.
It does provide much needed support for those who are experiencing really difficult times in their lives.
People not being able to put food on the table, effectively don't know where to turn next. People not being able to afford electricity, gas bills, through no fault of their own, because they might be on half pay, they might be suffering stress at work. But we know that when we set that up in 2003, it was absolutely going to be a magnificent fund, and 23 years later, I think we're bearing the fruit from that. The education fund is one that's going well. We obviously now pay branch official training out of that. We pay for courses through GFTU, TUC. We use it internationally as well. So at this minute in time, there's about £400,000 in that, and we will continue to use that fund internationally, educationally, and for the benefit of our members and indeed staff.
The POA are big advocates of lifelong learning for all of our members, and just to give you an example, over 100 of our members have attended GFTU courses, which have ranged from health and safety, women in leadership, branch officer development, stage 1 and 2. So GFTU has been a great tool for our members to improve their learning. We also have members attending TUC courses, mainly health and safety, but we've also had over 120 branch officials attend branch official training at Quorn Grange, which again improves our education of our branch officials and also our members.
One of the most encouraging successes of the past 12 months has been the increase in membership across the POA, from new recruits to retired members.
We are making decent progress. We've increased our membership over the last sort of 10 years by 7,000 or 8,000 members. That's an incredible amount of members. The last count was 32,750 full members, and then we've got 4,000 retired members. So we really are going very, very well.
One of the few unions, I think, in the entire trade union movement that is increasing its membership, and long may that continue. And it's a positive, isn't it? People are finally realising that if you are on the front line, whether you work in immigration removal centres, in the YCS estate, in secure hospitals, if you are on the front line, whether you're an OSG or a prison officer, the only union you need to be a member of is the POA. We have got the recognition rights, and we will continue to fight for you.
And do you know what, it might come hand in hand with our communication. The communication strategy is currently in place that staff are seeing, and the new staff coming in are seeing the POA and NEC kind of, promoting some of these things that they've been wanting for a long year. So the communication is probably aiding more membership. I think the local, from our point, our local committee is more visible. They're out there, they're explaining what our local committees can do, how they can support. Obviously, national stuff is left to the national, but locally, the support and the safety, and we're constantly in some form or another challenging or raising concerns, or actually giving solutions to some of the ongoing concerns to be able to better support our staff, whether it's through line management support, whether it's offering them reasonable adjustments, whether it's supporting them at disciplinaries, grievances and stuff. So we're currently just under 500 at the moment, or can't exact number, but I know it's pretty good. We still could do more. We believe got more members here we want to attract and show them what we can do to support them moving forward.
We now have a young members committee who are advocating on behalf of our young members. They've recently attended TUC conference where they got up and spoke very eloquently and confidently on behalf of POA members. about violence in the workplace. So yeah, we try to represent everyone, and I think we are very effective at representing everyone.
POA's North of England headquarters in Leeds was recently renamed in honour of our friend and colleague Joe Simpson, who was a driving force behind the establishment of a young members branch of the POA.
We obviously put a motion to conference about a young members committee, and it was kind of carried. We managed to be successful on that motion. It's something that I work quite closely with Joe with. In its inception, it kind of started quite small, but we've managed to work up. Sadly, obviously, we've a couple of years ago, we've obviously Joe's passing, or a year ago, sorry. We managed to kind of transform it, and we've reinvigorated it into what me and Joe had kind of pictured, and it's now grown. We've got 15 reps on that at the minute, or there or thereabouts. With obviously a dedicated NEC rep overseeing that, and admin, etc. And just reaching out to young members across the country to see what issues they're facing, to what we can change, what we can do, and that's something that kind of Joe was really passionate about. It was passionate for what can we do to make it better for the next man through the gate.
I think we all know from annual conference there's a lot of young people, not just from the Young Members Committee, who are going to be the future of this union, and they are very, very effective.
One of the biggest successes that the POA can be very proud of is not just true this year, but every year, thanks to the collective hard work of all the support staff, as well as all of the NEC and of course all the delegates, and that is conference itself.
I've done a fair few over the years, and it is because sometimes when you come back to your establishment, you can get locked into what's going on locally. When you go to conference, you get to see what's going around the whole prison service, and actually some very good things that are going on, good practices. Some see why some prisons are struggling and stuff. So you get to chat to the establishment. So coming together, and then and I've definitely come back from conference with thinking actually, do you know what, that's something we can put towards the senior team regards changes, because it seems to be working at establishment. So good practice is one of the things we've definitely come back from conference and tried to implement here to better the conditions and working environment for our staff.
Annual conference makes us aware of issues that we should be addressing or attempting to address, and we'll continue to do that as per our policy book, and we continue to address them issues.
It's a good turnout at conference every year. We have I think more or less every branch turns up, which is good. It's a good way for me to network with other branches. We discuss each other's issues and discuss how the best way to resolve them. We have our quarterly meetings usually as well, but with the Northwest branches. So to have that sort of network, and it's good for everybody to sort of come together and work out our problems between us.
At conference, we do a lot of networking with other jails, other POA members. It's good to meet, swap ideas and swap information with them. And really we learn a lot at conference. You see what you're part of. When you're in your own jail, your own branch, you're a tiny cog in a big machine. When you go to conference, you get the full picture.
And ultimately, what's decided at the conference helps drive the agenda within the union going forward. So, for us, thinking about what our plans are to help the union go, in the next year or so, then going to Congress is of fundamental importance to try and get a sense of what that's going to look like in the next year or so.
As is true of the trade union movement across the globe, both historically and today, these struggles will continue. But united, organised and now more visible than ever, the POA will continue to approach these battles in a calm and strategic manner that will carry the momentum of this progress and these successes of the past 12 months on into the year ahead.
We're looking forward to hopefully a reduction in the pension age, which is very imperative, and a pay rise, and take us above inflation pay rise, because our families deserve it.
Maybe something for next year, not this conference, the following conference, that we can maybe look at a kind of a proposal of some sort, how we better support local branches moving forward.
We need to keep upping our game. I think is the honest truth. Everything's moving forward. Nothing stands still.
Obviously, we have to react to events, and we've always got to keep flexible so that we can react quickly to events in a very dynamic service like the prison service.
I'm an optimist. I think if we keep progressing in the way that we are, and nothing ever stands still, so technology doesn't stand still, so I'm pleased that we're doing the podcasts, I'm pleased that we're doing the filming, I'm pleased that we're bringing our political campaigns into the arena and forcing politicians and employers to listen to us, because we are a force for good. At the end of the day, I think the days have gone, actually, of maybe tub thumping. We articulate our arguments very, very well in everything that we do.
You get what you can, and if it's not enough, you fight for more. You know, female estate, open estate, YCS. You know, we all do the same job to different levels of risk. So yeah, bring it on.
A really positive 12 months, I think. I think if you're a POA member, you can be really proud to be in a POA and proud of the work that we're doing for you at a national level. But we don't rest on our laurels in the POA. We continue to fight, and of course our next big fights are continue with decent pay rises, lower that retirement age to 60, and make sure all our members are protected in the way they expect and should be, wherever they work, and we'll continue that fight throughout the next 12 months.